Okay, let's move into Ezekiel chapter 40 and beyond. I will not be reading all the chapters because some of them are heavily measurements that is outlined for Israel pertaining to the third temple. So we're living in a time where there are songs being sung about a third temple being built in Israel. And if you're a Christian, you would care very little about a third temple being built in Israel, as I was, because as we've been told that Christ was the last sacrifice, and so there is no need for a third temple. Well, there is going to be a third temple built in Israel by the remnant of Israel when they move back into the land at the end of this age. And Ezekiel 40 and onward is a description of that and what that is going to look like in the life of the people when the temple is rebuilt and sacrifices are reinstituted. But I do want to do a recap because it's important to understand that Ezekiel 36 and afterwards actually flows in one direction. It's linear. As opposed to many of the prophetic books, which goes back and forth in time. Ezekiel 36 to the end is a linear book. So Ezekiel 36, just to recap, is when the Lord gave Ezekiel a prophecy to prophesy to the mountain of Israel. And it's about how the mountains of Israel it's under a curse because of what the people of Israel have done on God's holy mountain. But God is saying that in Israel it will be fruitful again, and it will be a blessing as it once was. And the Lord will redeem his name through the bringing back of his people. And it says here that he will pour out his spirit on the people and on the land, and he will bless it and cleanse it. And then it goes into 37 where it talks about the valley of dry bone, which is the state of Israel before the Lord gives them life. They're in a state of a dead state right now, where the Lord has partially hardened their hearts. And the Lord is going to give them life once again. And then you get to Ezekiel 38. So maybe I shouldn't have said that it was a linear, because 39 brings us back to the end of this age. Actually, sorry. I am sorry. So 38 talks about after the people are back into the land, and the Lord establishes his new covenant with them, his covenant of peace, and they're living safe and securely. And Satan is released from his 1,000-year imprisonment, and he goes out to deceive the world. Then he comes back to a land and a people who is living in peace, and he wants to wage war against them through Gog and Magog. And this is where the Ezekiel 38 war comes in. It is not at the end of this age. It is at the end of the next age after Satan is released. And so you see that the Lord will destroy Satan. He'll destroy Satan. That's what Ezekiel 38 says. So Ezekiel 39 then brings us back to the end of this age, where once again the Lord is waging war against his enemy, and this time he's judging the whole world for what they did to Israel. And as you see here, that Israel, there will be some of the people of Israel in the land at that time, because if you remember that before the nations come against the Lord, that he is going to judge Babylon and the prostitute, and he said to his people, "Come out of her, my people, lest you drink the cup that I have for her, Babylon. And so the call was for God's people to come out of Babylon and go to Zion. So when you read Ezekiel 39, you will see that there is some of Israel there, but not all of them. Okay, not all of them. And then it ends with the Lord restoring Israel unto himself. And it says, therefore, thus says in verse 25 of 39, therefore, thus says the Lord God, now I will restore the fortunes of Jacob and have mercy on the whole house of Israel, and I will be jealous for my holy name, and they shall forget their shame, and all the treachery they have practiced against me, when they dwell securely in their land with none to make them afraid. When I have brought them back from the peoples and gathered them from their enemies' lands, and through them have vindicated my holiness in the sight of many nations, then they shall know that I am the Lord their God, because I sent them into exile among the nations, and then assemble them into their own land. I will leave none of them remaining among the nations anymore, and I will not hide my face anymore from them when I pour out my spirit upon the house of Israel, declares the Lord. So, how is the Lord going to essentially resurrect them with the valley of dry bones, or give them life? He's going to pour out his spirit on them. He's going to sanctify them, save them, sanctify them, and make them a people of righteousness. So then you get to Ezekiel 40, and it says here, I kind of want to go into the first little bit. In the 25th year of our exile, at the beginning of the year, on the 10th day of the month, in the 14th year after the city was struck down, on that very day, the hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me to the city. In visions of God, he brought me to the land of Israel and set me down on a very high mountain, on which was a structure like a city to the south. When he brought me there, behold, there was a man whose appearance was like bronze, and with a linen cord and a measuring reed in his hand, and he was standing in the gateway. And the man said to me, Son of man, look with your eyes and hear with your ears, and set your heart upon all that I shall show you, for you were brought here in order that I might show it to you. Declare all that you see to the house of Israel. So the house of Israel, meaning all of Israel, all 12 tribes. So I'm going to skip now to chapter 43, because all that is measurement, and I am so sure you don't want me to be reading you measurements. Boop. 43. Then he led me to the gate facing east, and behold, the glory of the God of Israel was coming from the east, and the sound of his coming was like the sound of many waters, and the earth shone with his glory. The vision I saw was just like the vision that I had seen when he came to destroy the city, and just like the vision that I had seen by the Chebar canal. And I fell on my face as the glory of the Lord entered the temple by the gate facing east. The Spirit lifted me up and brought me into the inner court, and behold, the glory of the Lord filled the temple. So what Isaiah was saying, it was like the vision that he saw is because in Ezekiel 8, 9, and 10, you will see where the glory of the Lord left the temple. And when you read Ezra, when they rebuilt the temple, there's no mentioning of that glory coming back after the second temple was built. So I actually don't know if the glory of God returned after the second temple was built, but this is talking about the third temple and the glory of God returning after the people will build the third temple. And I'll show you why. While the man was standing beside me, I heard one speaking to me out of the temple. And he said to me, Son of man, this is the place of my throne and the place of the sole of my feet, where I will dwell in the midst of the people of Israel forever. So that language is language of forever. So when the Lord set up his millennial kingdom on earth, it is going to be a forever kingdom. So you see here, the Lord is saying, this is where I will be forever with Israel. And the house of Israel shall no more defile my holy name, neither they nor their kings by their whoring and by the dead bodies of their kings at their high places, by setting their threshold by my threshold and their doorposts beside my doorposts, with only a wall between me and them. They have defiled my holy name by their abominations that they have committed, so I have consumed them in my anger. And the consummation of Jacob was Jacob's trouble. And Jacob's trouble, I would say, was 70 AD destruction, continuing until now, and will not end until after the tribulation. So when the Lord says, I have consumed them in my anger, it's like the Lord is getting ready to establish Jacob again. But for the longest time, the Lord has been angry with Jacob for what he did. Now let them put away their whoring and the dead bodies of their kings far from me, and I will dwell in their midst forever. There is the forever language again. As for you, son of man, describe to the house of Israel the temple, that they may be ashamed of their iniquity, and they shall measure the plan. And if they are ashamed of all that they have done, make known to them the design of the temple, its arrangement, its exits and its entrances, that is its whole design, and make known to them as well all the statutes and its whole design and all its laws, and write it down in their sight, so that they may observe all its laws and all its statutes and carry them out. This is the law of the temple. The whole territory on the top of the mountain all around shall be the most holy, because this is the law of the temple. So I'm going to stop there for now. And in this series that I'm going to do, and you're going to see just how this is talking about the remnant of the 12 tribes that is to be brought back into the land, because as we read on in chapter 48, you're going to see a listing of all the 12 tribes and actually all the their land distribution. Now, does anybody today know what tribe they're in? I really don't think so. Because Israel is such a it's a people who has lost their identity, because the Lord has cast them off. The Lord has cast them off, broke his covenant with them, and has dealt with them as an enemy. And so they have no idea who they are. And so the people of Israel, the remnant, don't know what tribe they're in. Now, how is the Lord going to identify them and identify them according to their tribe? I don't know. But is there anything too hard for the Lord? There is nothing too hard for the Lord. And I believe with all my heart that he has a plan, and it will come to fruition. But for now, I just want you to see that there will be a third temple, and that the Lord will once again dwell with his people, and this time it will be forever, because as we see in the chapters before, that the Lord is going to pour out his spirit on them, and no longer are they going to be a people simply worshiping the Lord, but they are going to be a spiritual household worshiping the Lord in spirit and in truth, and they will no longer turn their hearts to other gods, but they will be devoted to the Lord their God in worship. So, ending there for now, and we'll pick up tomorrow.